Hello, I'm Wayne Visser and I'm Director of CSR International, and I'm here today in Ukraine with Rostyslav Kurinko, who is the founder of CSR Journal for the Central and Eastern European region. Could you start off by giving us an idea of the state of CSR and how it's developed in the region?
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. I hope my knowledge of the region, actually my journal, online journal, covers this region. All the Russian-speaking segment will help me to give you a right answer. It's interesting for you. To start with, I would like to say that the CSR concept in our region, I'm talking first of all about Russian, Ukrainian, Belarus, probably some Kazakhstan. It's rather different than in Europe or US or Japan, let's say. To understand this, we have to come back a little bit in the history. There is, I would name two main drivers, internal and external, which influence on the understanding and the formalization of the CSR concept in our countries. First is, of course, our history, the history of our philanthropic activities, which go back to 16th, 17th century. So people have well-established habits to do some good things for others, for society, for doesn't matter, for whatever, different ways, I mean. And then another very important element in understanding this picture is the history of the Soviet Union and the way how the enterprise did their job. I think no one will be surprised knowing that the big Soviet Union enterprises have a very wide social structure, which they were fully responsible for. So they, besides the usual production of some goods or whatever, or services, they have to deal with this big, sometimes huge amounts of the people, interest in infrastructure, some services additional in social, environmental fields. It's not. It's quite usual situation when the big city actually lives around one big enterprise, and of course, we have a very deep, very long history of this social orientation of the enterprises, and of course, it still have a direct influence of on the decision-making process by the CEO, because they understand sometimes, often I would say, that when someone speaks about social responsibility of the business, in a way like this social orientization of the business. So they understand it as it was before. But if we look at the current and at the nowadays drivers, I would first of all name the interest of our business in the external market, the increase of the price of the share. During these 10 years, a lot of businesses, a lot of enterprises, companies grow to that level of the maturity when they expected and to be listed at the different stocks. First of all, of course, in the Poland stock, some in Warsaw, another eager to go to the London one, and etc. So, of course, the desire to be considered as a modern and civilized business and the issues which deals at that level of the understanding of the business role in the society and business role in the world, of course they push new CEOs to turn their minds into this new concept. And as I explained you, and at this side they found the history of the Soviet Union time. So it makes a certain mix which will help you to understand what CSR means in our countries. Usually this is internally oriented programs, as it was just said at the conference, because people, the CEOs, they know that investing, external investing and social activities should be directed inside the company. They have a history of it. They always were caring out about all the field of the life of their employees. And of course, I think the orientation inside, it's the main sign of the, let's say, the main sign of the CSR model of our countries. Okay. So this is how it looks here.
And do you see any differences between some of the countries in the region?
Of course, Russia, in comparing to Ukraine, much bigger, and of course, much more enterprises grew faster, and of course, their much more advanced in the CSR field. We have it is at the same at the company level that they declare and implement some issues. This is the level of the cooperation with the NGOs, at the level of whatever. Even let's say in Russia, even Putin in his statements provides the full support of this initiative, understanding that it supports federal government to implement certain very sensitive and necessary social initiatives. In case of Ukraine, the business not so big. Maybe some few. Majority of them it's a medium business, and it found in this concept the way of maybe some marketing, some public relation things, some benchmarking probably. But if you look to the government level, there is unfortunately still no understanding. There is still some old viewing in the CSR like the only way to make some philanthropy. In a better case. But again, recently we launched a process of developing the national concept paper on this. I hope it will move push this movement a little bit in the right direction.
Now, when a lot of people think about this region, they think about corruption. So are companies incorporating the issue of tackling corruption into their CSR efforts, and is there any sign of success?
Very, very sensitive diplomatic question for me. Yes, I think it is true that we have some levels of corruption. Unfortunately, it's not maybe so bad, from my point of view, for environment as it is in the Western country, because it's a piece of our culture, of our entrepreneurship culture, and the culture of relation between enterprises and state administration, let's say. And of course, if you ask how the company deals with this element, I would say I can give you a good example. Recently, I helped one big Ukrainian company, actually which has a good export orientation, vodka, alcohol company, helping them to develop and to manage in some way their social activity. They used to transfer around $200,000 each month to the needs of the local state administration, and it was like just giving and forgetting. And after implementing, after giving them a brief, a certain maybe training of understanding how they could manage these resources, after this they will succeed in establishing certain cooperation and discussion how this money will be spent. I'm not saying that they stopped to give it. Yes, they continue, but now they had a possibility to influence and to try to find this win-win situation, which actually CSR is, when the business are able to find the good common objectives which cover both interests. And I think it's a good case and good example and a good choice and the direction how the business should transfer their usual standard, let's say, corruption issues into some more civilized way. I think it's a good roadmap from this point of view.
Well, thank you very much for your time today and for your insights.
Thank you.